right. So for part two of this copyright, this is where I'm going to take. There's going to be like a little quiz throughout in the middle of the video type thing. It's you'll see. Basically, it's going to show the video, and then after every slide, so pay attention. After every slide, there'll be a question about that previous slide. It should be like super easy. You guys should get an easy 100 on this. Just kind of pay attention to the slide we're on, and then right after that, there's going to be a question about it, and it's going to be pretty easy and just answer it. But it's just to kind of make sure you guys are paying attention and kind of trying to remember some of these things about copyright that we're going through. Okay, so let's just go through it real fast. So copyright, it's a form of protection grounded in the U.S. Constitution and granted by law for original works of authorship fixed in a tangible medium of expression. All right. So after this, there's going to be a little question. You answer it. It should be super easy. All right. Fair use doctrine. This is a guideline that determines how much of a copyrighted item can legally be used without permission. This is what we were talking about earlier about how you should always cite your sources, because there's no amount that you can use. Say I'm writing a book about Abraham Lincoln, right? But I read some other guy's books about Abraham Lincoln, and he gives me some ideas in that book about things that I mention in my book. Well, even if I don't necessarily quote things from his book, like I don't take word for word what he wrote in his book and put it in my book, but I kind of mention things in there that he from his ideas. Well, I should put some type of note down there at the bottom. These ideas were taken from such and such's book, blah blah blah. That way, I'm giving him, you know what am I trying to say here? I'm giving him acknowledgement of what he did, right? I'm not just taking what he did. Now, even with that though, you can still get in trouble. You still, the best thing you can do is ask that guy, hey, I read your book. Can I use it in my book? Is that cool? And then he'll say, yeah, sure, use my book. Or he'll say, okay, yeah, but I want a penny for every book you sell. Maybe he might do something like that. And if you really want to add his stuff in your book, then you'll just pay him the penny or whatever he wants, right? So that's how that kind of works. But usually, most people are really cool about things like this, especially when it comes to things they're passionate about and you're passionate about, and you'll have a similarity. All right. First sale doctrine allows a purchaser to transfer a lawfully made copy of the copyrighted work without permission once it's been obtained. A copyright holder's rights remain are to control the change of ownership of a particular work end once that copy is sold, as long as no additional copies are made. So let me just kind of go over this first sale doctrine. What this means is if I go to Walmart and I buy the new Spider-Man movie, all right, I take it home, I watch the Spider-Man movie, cool, I liked it, now I'm done with it, I want to sell it, right? I sell it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp or something like that. I sell it, cool, it's gone, right? That's it. It now belongs to that guy. He can do whatever he wants with it. But let's rewind a little bit. Now let's say I own that Spider-Man and I make copies of Spider-Man, right? Those are copies, okay? Well, I can't make a copy and then sell the other one and then hold now technically are they going to know things like that? It gets kind of tricky, but technically you're not allowed to make copies and then sell those copies and do things like that. It becomes an issue when you start trying to make products. Like the guy at the grocery store back in the day that would be in his little backpack and come to your car and be like, hey, you want to buy some movies? I got some movies that that are in the theater. He made copies of those movies, whether he bought them or he just straight up downloaded them from the internet, and then he's selling those copies. You get in a lot of trouble for that. That guy doesn't sell stuff there anymore at the grocery store, and if he does, he's probably in prison right now, or he moved off somewhere else. But basically, that's what this means, right? You own that copy, but you can't go and make copies and sell it to other people. Okay, you can make copies for yourself, that's fine, but not sell them. Intellectual property. This is intangible property that is a product of the imagination, copyrights, trademarks, and patents. This is basically, you can't, I know we said earlier you can't have an idea as a copyright, but intellectual property could be things that you have come up with and you've planned out and you have it all laid out in stone and written out, and you have that whole thing ready to go, but it's not necessarily been made yet because you just don't have the resources for it, you don't have the tools for it, but you know how to do it. Well, you can take that, get it registered, and get it protected under copyright. So that way, someone that does have the money and resources can't go and make it and steal it before you do, because you actually came up with it first. You just don't actually have the resources to make it official yet. All right, that's what that is, intellectual property. Intangible property that's a product of the imagination. All right, patent. A monopoly granted by the U.S. Patent Office for a limited time to the creator of a new invention. So what this is kind of goes into what I was just talking about. That if I create something that is new, right? Like, let's just say I'm the first person to create a cell phone, right? Or like the cool smartphone. Well, smartphones are like the next thing from a phone, right? But Verizon and Apple, or not Verizon, but we'll just say Apple and Android and all those other ones, they have much more money than me. So they could technically, we know this is an iPhone, right? But technically, let's say they didn't exist. Well, Apple could beat me out because they have so much money and they make a better smartphone than me, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can apply for a patent and say, hey, I'm not the richest guy in the world, but I came up with this cool idea for a smartphone. Can I get it protected for a limited time? A monopoly. I want to be monopoly means you're the only person that controls that sell of something, right? So I'm the only person that can make a smartphone for a little while. Can I have that right for just a couple years? Let me get a head start because once Apple comes along, they have so much money, they're gonna beat me out, right? So that's what that is. That's what a patent is. It's just getting that short term, limited time to be the person to create a new invention on your own until that time runs out, and then everyone else can try to beat you out for it. Permission. Permission means consent to work on usually reprinting or reproducing in some other work. So this is just permission that you have to do something or work with something, like with Sony letting Disney, they gave permission for Disney to use Spider-Man. Phonorecords. Digital phonorecords are relatively new technology that allows musical works to be played, recorded, and stored in digital format for use on computers or other devices. That's what we were talking about earlier. Is phonorecords are just like the digital form of things, or things that require something else to be played to hear it. Okay. Plagiarism, that's to steal and pass off ideas or words of another's as one's own, or to use another production without crediting the source. Okay. Public domain. These are things that are protected, that which their copyright protection has expired. So what this basically means is it's no longer protected under copyright. They're 95 years passed up for like Mickey Mouse, or the person died and 70 years passed up. That's why a lot of people will play Beethoven music or old music in movies because they don't have to pay anyone for it. Same thing with U.S. government things or things owned by the government. Those things are also public domain as well. Um, Trademark is a word or symbol used to identify a product or service in the marketplace. That's just like the Nike symbol or the Apple on the Apple products. Okay. And that's it, guys. Don't worry about this part right here, but you just hopefully answer those questions correctly, and I'll give you a grade for those things.